Did an American F-35 just get shot down by Iran? We're going to find out today. Some weird news coming out over the past few hours. This started about 18 hours ago as of recording this when the news broke out. And we're seeing a vast array of information from emergency landings, and it's not that big of a deal, all the way to misinformation of people showing obviously AI videos of F-35s being shot down. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. We're going to read through it ourselves and figure out what is going on together. Before we get started though, check out Chug, 10% off, link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world. This is a great bit of kit. If you want a drink, if you want a tanker to put your drink in this summer, because by the way, it's the spring equinox today, so happy spring equinox. Get prepped. Summer is coming soon. Get yourself a Chug. You can take the metal bit out to protect your wood. Always protect your wood. Guys, it is vital. You've got to protect your wood. You don't want to damage it in any way, shape, or form. You don't want to damage anything else around it. All right? 10% off, link down below. Free customization, free bag. Handmade here in the UK by a small business. Support them small businesses. Ships to America. Also, if you haven't seen already, I made a drink. It took 2 years to develop. We got our recipe sorted. It's been in the works for a long time. And we're planning, potentially, to get it out in America this year. We're pricing it up right now to see how much it would cost to get it over to the States. Instead of shipping it to America, it's looking more likely that we will have to completely develop it in mainland America and get it shipped from domestically, basically. We don't know how we're going to do it, how we're going to fund it. We don't know if we're going to do another Kickstarter or we haven't really figured it out yet. But if you want to get your hands on a can of morale in America, let me know in the comments. All right, let's pull this up. Obviously, we're going to be looking at ground news. I think ground news is the best place when it comes to the free flow of information. You know why. They tell you if it's biased on the right-hand side here. And not, do you know what I love about it? Which, by the way, you can get a discount down below. The reason I love ground news is not only does it tell you where the information is coming from, it tells you who owns the information. In a world like we have right now, where there's misinformation flying around and obvious corporations trying to influence you through propaganda and misinformation, it's important to know where your stuff is coming from. US F-35 damaged by suspected Iranian fire makes emergency landing. On Thursday, a US F-35 fighter jet was forced to make an emergency landing after suspected Iranian fire during a combat mission over Iran. CNN and US Central Command confirmed. So this is confirmed by the USCC, which is interesting. Amid Operation Epic Fury, a US F-35 made an emergency landing after suspected Iranian fire, making the first such incident since February 28th, with recent aircraft losses raising concerns. The IRGC claimed responsibility for striking the $100 million F-35, which made an emergency landing after same stuff. Investigations have opened probes, and Britsky said, "We of course still don't know exactly what happened here and what hit the aircraft. But it does raise questions about the effectiveness of these strikes if Iran is still able to do this and target a US aircraft in this way." Pentagon filings show the $200 billion request signals planners expect sustained costs as US military aircraft losses total at least 16 and the US death toll rises to 13. Okay, so we've got a couple different scenarios here because the IRGC, the Iranian guard, basically, are claiming this as their own. Not only are they claiming it as their own, they're also saying they actually shot it down, that it didn't make an emergency landing. So what we've got here is we've got a big spectrum of information, and there's multiple different possibilities. The smallest amount of possibility, the minimum, is that some sort of what could maybe be small arms fire hit an F-35, and so they landed it just to do some repairs. That could be like the most lessening damage to the US. The most extreme is the US is covering their backs and Iran actually shot down an F-35 and blew it up. So we've got a spectrum here of what it could be. Obviously, I've got an opinion about this, and we're going to go into it. Now, the reason I wanted to pull this up is, where is it? Okay, I've got this right here. CENTCOM confirmed that the F-35 was struck by Iranian fire while flying a combat mission over Iran and was forced to make emergency landing. The pilot is described as being in stable condition. The incident is under investigation. Iran claims it shot the aircraft down. Here is what else we know. In the hours following the incident, a US Army MH-47G Chinook, registered 1902916, was tracked on Flight Radar 24, flying an extensive series of tight circling patterns over the eastern Saudi Arabian region near Al-Jubail. The flight pattern is consistent with combat search and rescue operations, the kind of search profile you fly when you are looking for downed aircraft or a pilot on the ground. The IRGC claims the shootdown occurred at AM Iran time. The Chinook search activity and the timeline raises questions about whether the F-35 reached a base at all or whether it came down somewhere over the Saudi territory. CENTCOM says it landed safely. A Chinook was circling the Saudi desert in an CSAR pattern. One of those things may not be true. And there's the pattern there. Now, there's two things that can be true, right? The aircraft can be fine and it's landed safely, and that this also was doing some sort of reconnaissance. Just because both things have happened at the same time doesn't mean they're interlinked. Doesn't mean that they're, the same thing. And I'm trying to be as objective as possible here. I don't want any biases in this, although I'm sure I'm going to be talking about my biases. What I am going to say, though, is if you go on X, formerly known as Twitter, you're going to see an array of what I believe this right here, which is going all over X. I believe this is AI. I don't believe this is real whatsoever. Firstly, the clip is only 6 seconds. No matter which one you look at, this one's 8. Oh, shut up with the music, mate. But for the most part, it looks like AI. And then there's other stuff as well, like this. This is obviously AI as well. In fact, it looks like a video game. Cool video game if that's the case, but it's definitely not real. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of misinformation. Another AI picture. There's a lot of misinformation online, okay? And you've got to be very, very careful not to presume. Oh my God. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my days. So yeah, there's obviously this. See, look, even this. Oh, this is crash landing in Texas 2022. Yeah, we watched this video a while back of an F-35 doing a controlled crash landing because it was having some sort of malfunction and it kind of like flips here. But we've seen this video before, actually. It's quite interesting. Oh my God. There goes hundreds of millions of dollars. But yeah, that was some sort of controlled fault that the aircraft actually had. But yeah, you see, look at all this misinformation all over the place, all right? So please be very, very, very careful with where you look online, all right? This is by Al Jazeera. Talking about the same thing. Listen, I could talk about the same thing, but it's gonna be in here somewhere. It's gonna be the same place in here somewhere. I don't know where. But these are all the articles here going over it. I am going to give you now my opinion on the situation, okay? We know for the most part that the US has destroyed pretty much all of the anti-air equipment that Iran has. Don't get me wrong, they could be fighting back real quick and getting this squared away real quick, and, they could have some sort of means of shooting it down. But I think that's very unlikely. I think it's very, very unlikely. And so, if that is the case, what are the opinions here? In my opinion, what I think has happened is I think an F-35 has just so happened out of pure luck for Iran, taken a bit of small arms fire with someone shooting in the sky. I think that's probably what happened. The pilot has turned around and been like, we've taken some small arms fire, we're going to do a landing, and we're going to get it squared away. Because obviously that's dangerous. To which Iran has been like, oh my God, we've shot down an F-35. That's personally what I believe has happened. Now, if an F-35 was actually shot down by Iran, would the US turn around and say Iran has shot down an F-35? I actually think they would. I don't think that they would use propaganda to try and cover this up, because all this would do would raise more interest in getting boots on the ground and ultimately taking the Hormuz Strait, which I think the US wants to do. And so the US would definitely use this to their advantage and be like, we need to get in there and do more damage. Personally, that's what I believe anyway. And so, with that being said, I think it's just taken some small arms fire somehow, I don't know how, and decided to do an emergency landing. With that being said, we may get some more news coming out soon. Let me see if there's anything new coming out about all this stuff. CNN, I'm not reading you, mate. Not a chance. Not a chance am I reading you. Let's see. Someone posted it on Reddit. I've seen multiple reports of F-35 making an emergency landing after being hit, confirmed by CENTCOM. Technically not a shoot down, I suppose. Yeah, all these videos cut within seconds after the hit. Yeah, this is literally what I said. I'll wait for a verified source for this one. Yeah. Couldn't even be bothered to use DCS. There probably was an F-35 that got damaged. That part seems plausible, but that doesn't mean this video is legit. Exactly. I was hoping there would be a relatively decent website that might be giving live updates on the situation, but we're probably not gonna get anything. In a statement sent to Forbes, U.S. Central Command spokesperson Captain Tim Hawkins said the military is aware of a reported emergency landing and confirmed the aircraft landed safely and the pilot was in stable condition. Hawkins said the incident was still under investigation but did not elaborate on what the military believes caused the landing. CNN reported the jet was potentially hit by Iranian fire, citing two sources familiar with the incident, which would potentially mark the first time a US aircraft was hit by Iran since the war began on February 28th. Iran's Revolutionary Guard took credit for the shooting down an F-35. Reuters later reported citing a statement from the group, although the statement also read, the fate of the fighter jet is unknown and under investigation, and there is a high probability that it crashed. A high probability is not the same as it actually crashing. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I think it probably just took a bit of small arms fire and they've ended up doing an emergency landing just for safety. Personally, I think if an F-35 got shot down and actually crashed, this would be worldwide news. And so that's what I'm starting to believe. I'd love to know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out Chug. 10% off link down below. And go buy yourself some morale. Let me know if you want this out in America and if you would support me doing something like a Kickstarter. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.